I like this starter. Being able to make sure we get to our Doom Foretold on turn 4, and having some ways to get enchantments back for value and ultimately finish the game is always nice. Looks like we're playing a Temur Reclamation deck. So Teferi would be an awesome draw. Go ahead and shock to play this out. And the one nice thing about playing against Temur Reclamation is they don't often have a lot going on the battlefield, so Doom Foretold tends to be pretty effective. And Teferi right on cue is a very welcome sight.
Right on schedule.
I think here it makes sense to tick Teferi up. This only gets punished by Brazen Borrower, but it plays around things like Stomp and Storm's Wrath. Alright, and we are going to get him with Doom Foretold. And I think I want to continue to tick Teferi up here.
That's more like it.
Again, unless they drew exactly a Brazen Borrower, this is the stronger play. Narset's a really good draw here as well. It will help keep fueling our hand and keep them off of the card draw from things like Chemist's Insight and Uro. Even Expansion Explosion then becomes only a damage spell with Narset on the battlefield. That's making me even more inclined to keep ticking Teferi up so that ultimately they're not able to get rid of both Planeswalkers with a Storm's Wrath. I am going to draw the card off of Narset though.
I have just the trick for this.
And there's a case to be made for Banishing Light or Treacherous Blessing. I like Treacherous Blessing. I want to be as proactive as possible. Right now, their Wilderness Reclamation isn't doing a whole lot. And I think I am actually... There is a case to be made for bouncing it, so at least they would have to use the mana to replay it. But again, that puts me in double Planeswalkers getting killed by Storm's Wrath, and I don't love that. So right now, a Nissa could be a little bit problematic. If they have a way to get rid of Teferi, that would also be problematic. Go ahead and Starfield Mystic into Treacherous Blessing here. Okay, another Doom Foretold is a welcome sight. I want to try to get Teferi out of Storm's Wrath range again. We'll just play a tapped land and pass. So now they have unlocked card draw by getting rid of Narset. They can draw off Chemist's Insight or Uro here. But as long as we're keeping their Wilderness Reclamation in check with Teferi, it's really hard for them to do their thing. And the Doom Foretold on the next turn, as long as it resolves, should be really effective. Okay, double Wilderness Reclamation. And now they can start scrying. So that is also a bit of a problem. We really need to start closing out this game. I can get rid of one of the Wilderness Reclamations by bouncing Uro and playing Doom Foretold. Oh, I can get rid of both of the Wilderness Reclamations by bouncing Uro and playing double Doom Foretold.
No more games. Trust me, I have a plan.
Don't love the way that it's tapping there. And then I am going to play out Birth of Meletus as well. And yeah, the power of Starfield Mystic to double or triple spell is really, really one of the key additions to the deck. I've only recently started playing with Starfield Mystic, and it has really overperformed. Not to mention some of the busted draws that it does allow, like turn 3 Doom Foretold against a slower deck. And here they can scry again, but the fact that we have Teferi and the double Doom Foretold out means that they are going to be losing both Wilderness Reclamations. And for anybody that's never played against a Temur Reclamation deck, you feel pretty safe as long as they don't have a Reclamation on the battlefield. Anytime they do have even one out, though, it is very dangerous. They can do a ton of damage and end the game really in one turn. Not to mention, they often play a lot of counter magic as well, along with some card draw. So it becomes pretty difficult to play against them when they do have Reclamation out. Alright, so here we can get rid of Treacherous Blessing and Birth of Meletus, simultaneously growing the Starfield Mystic. We'll go with an Omen of the Sea to start. And I like both of these cards. I don't think we actually need the second Starfield Mystic, although it could force a counterspell if we lead with that and then play Archon. So I'm going to try that. And then obviously Dream Trawler is excellent. It does feel like they have a counterspell in hand here. So let's lead with Starfield Mystic. We'll go ahead and attack. And then a nice way to instant speed pump the Starfield Mystic is to sacrifice the Omen of the Sea. And we'll just clear out the land, keep the Archon. And I think because they don't have a Reclamation out, we should be safe on this next turn. And then they are going to have to get rid of some cards as well due to the double Doom Foretold. They have a Brazen Borrower, they could flash that in, sacrifice that, and then discard one other card. I don't know if they meant to do that. They just cashed Stas's Intervention in for a single card. They might have thought you drew 2 cards no matter what. Oh, okay. So they refill their hand a bit, gives them a few more things that they can discard. But now that they are tapped out, we are going to be able to play out Dream Trawler or Dance of the Manse. And Elspeth Conquers Death is definitely a welcome sight. We just don't want to see an untapped blue source, and we are in the clear. Okay, we can Dance of the Manse for a very large number, getting back lots of good stuff, and that is probably the best way to go. The alternative would be to Dance of the Manse for less and play the Archon, but that seems to make quite a bit less sense. Could also play Teferi. Oh, I like this the best. Teferi to shut off their instant speed game plan and then still getting back the Doom Foretolds. And a Treacherous Blessing seems phenomenal. And we will go ahead and tick up here. Get in. Alright, and we pull game 1 out of our hat. I think against Temur Rec, things like Duress become very powerful. A single mana way to either force a counterspell or disrupt their hand is really, really strong. Narset is also excellent. Dovin's Veto as well is really good. Let's get rid of our 2 Birth of Meletus. That's often the first cut against the really slow decks. And I'm going to get rid of both of the Kaya's Wraths. This is a little risky. They do sometimes have game plans of bringing in things like Nightpack Ambusher. And even sometimes Uro and some Nissa lands can make things difficult. But I think in general, making ourselves as strong against their plan A makes a lot of sense. And then I'm going to cut an Oath of Kaya. I didn't see anything like a Narset that I would need to immediately deal with the Oath of Kaya. So getting rid of at least 1 seems good. Let's see if there's anything else that we need to bring in here. Both Aethergust and Mystical Dispute are useful. I don't want to trim too many enchantments because that breaks up the synergy of our deck quite a bit. I am going to bring in the Mystical Disputes for an Oath of Kaya and one of the Treacherous Blessings. And this feels like a pretty strong setup, so I'm going to run with it. I honestly do. I really think that this is better than the typical Esper control decks for a couple reasons. One, people just aren't lined up to interact with it. There's not a ton of enchantment hate right now. And then it also just has a really, really strong late game with Dance of the Mance that none of the other control decks have an equivalent to. And this is an awkward hand. It feels good enough to keep as long as we hit any land. So I am going to go ahead and keep it. And we do have some early interaction with Mystical Dispute. But yeah, Shyster, I actually do think this is the best of the Esper decks. I'm going to go ahead and Duress on turn 1. It's not always something you want to do, but because we have our next several turns mapped out, I want to play this while I have mana available. Alright. Expansion Explode. Alright, they've got quite a few things that we have to worry about. Luckily, we'll be able to hopefully play Elspeth Conquers Death to take out Warboss before it gets too out of control. It seems important that Elspeth Conquers Death resolves. So I'm inclined to take either a Negate or a Thassa's Intervention. They're also kind of short on mana. I'll go ahead and take the Negate. They hit another land on their draw. Go ahead and play out the Starfield Mystic. They won't be able to bounce it on this turn. They'll have to spend mana to do it if they want to on the next turn, but I suspect Warboss will come down, in which case we will probably Doom Foretold. We do get to pick off the token here, which is nice. So the other option would be to play out Treacherous Blessing and keep up a Mystical Dispute. In which case we could Doom Foretold on the next turn. I think I like that even better. That allows us to keep the Doom Foretold going and potentially pick off them trying to bounce our Starfield Mystic. We did draw an Omen of the Sea to play as well if we don't get a chance to Mystical Dispute something. So, I'm going to do this. Unmoored Ego dance. Yeah, Unmoored Ego I have literally never had cast against me. And it does have some alternative win conditions as well. Even Graveyard Hate has been not really prevalent. I have run into exactly one Ashiok that starts exiling the graveyard, but overall the graveyard, despite the escape creatures, has felt pretty safe, which is surprising. That may change. Alright, so here, don't want another Omen of the Sea. I do want the Elspeth Conquers Death. Okay, and let's get Doom Foretold going. We don't have the mana for Elspeth Conquers Death right now. Oh, cool. You like the Orzhov Doom better than the Esper Doom? Yeah, I really haven't run into a lot of Ashiok or real graveyard hate. Here, does keeping an untapped land help us? Don't believe that it does. It would allow us to keep a Mystical Dispute up, actually. And that might be worth it to be able to Elspeth Conquers Death plus keep up Mystical Dispute, so I am going to keep it. Oh, gotcha, Shyster. Yeah, I really do believe in this deck. I've been playing, obviously, versions of it for quite a while, and I was skeptical at first in adding Starfield Mystic. I was just trying something new. I literally searched MTG Goldfish for decks containing Starfield Mystic and got 0 results, which made me even more skeptical. But it seems to power out some really broken starts and also allow you to just get a huge mana advantage during kind of like the mid game. So my opponent is really thinking about what they want to sacrifice. Okay, so they're going to flash in the Brazen Borrower to keep the War Bosses going. I think we're still going to be okay here. I like that they will not have any additional mana to use this turn. So I need to strongly consider taking out one of the War Bosses and then just Elspeth Conquering Death the other one. If we block the 1/1, we're going down to 5 and then to 4 by playing Elspeth Conquers Death. That will then give us a Starfield Mystic big enough to block one of the other creatures. I think I'm going to play it on a little bit of the riskier side and block this way. It seems like our best long-term chance, even though we are going to a pretty low life total. So we'll get rid of our Treacherous Blessing here, actually, which saves us a little bit of life. And unfortunately, we can keep up the blue-black land to keep Mystical Dispute alive. All right. So definitely not attacking here. Omen of the Sea. Right now, we're going to counter that to make sure they lose their Legion War Boss. Good try, though, opponent. That was quite sneaky. And it feels like we've turned the corner now. We'll be able to block one, go to 3, and then we have Mystical Dispute backup. And the speed bump on Elspeth Conquers Death is a very real thing for a deck that plays almost no creatures. At this point, we're just looking like we're digging for the Dance of the Manse to really close out the game. All right, definitely blocking here. And going to sacrifice the Omen of the Sea. I'm wondering if it's worth playing Banishing Light on the 2/2 just to have something else to sacrifice to Doom Foretold, and we still have Mystical Dispute up. That feels fine with the Doom Foretold on the battlefield. Alright, I also like Omen of the Sea. Allows us to dig and gives us another permanent to sacrifice. And every enchantment we sacrifice is making our Starfield Mystic that much more dangerous. Alright, so they don't have anything to flash in, so it is going to go off here. And they are under quite a clock. Go ahead and play out this Omen of the Sea. And Narset is an awesome draw. Go ahead and attack first. Play out the Narset. So here they can attempt to counter it, but we do have the Mystical Dispute.
Just surrender now. I understand. Sloppy hone your
And
pride.
Dovin's Veto should definitely lock out this game. I'm actually going to go and get an island here so that we have both Dovin's Veto and Mystical Dispute up. So they're going to draw 2 cards here. I think it just makes sense to allow this to happen and then have both the counter spells for anything that matters that they attempt to cast on their next turn. Alright, so we were able to come out on top in 2 pretty quick games against Temur Rec.